So while the engine and transmission were apart, I decided that I would put a different clutch in, replace the rim main seal. It was leaking. The truck had 190,000 miles on it, so it was time. So this is some pictures of just mocking the dash in and trying to get the seats mocked in. And it took several in and out attempts to try to figure out how to get that dash to fit into that Dentside cab. So this is preliminary trimming. I ended up cutting a total of 6 inches off of that cab or the dash to get that in there. These are all conservative cuts here. The defroster ducts ended up coming out, and just trying to get everything so that it would sit in the Dentside cab, and then trying to get the trim so that it made sense to match. There you can kind of see it inside there. Takes up a lot of room, garage space, a lot of different working parts. There you can see the firewall that's actually the Dodge firewall in the Ford. The G56 transmission with a new throwout bearing. That's the pull that I ended up putting in the process. Right in the middle of doing this, I put a pull in the backyard. So there's some pictures of that. That's just life. Projects like this never go from A to Z. It's always in the middle. And there's a trip to Monster Jam. We went to the Philadelphia Eagles football stadium to watch some Monster Jam. King of Prussia Mall. So TSA, I'm a machining and welding teacher at Montgomery High School, and one of our events that we run is TSA. So that's TSA State Conference in April. I coach baseball. This is coach pitch baseball, and I advise BattleBots. So this is some of our BattleBots that we built this year. Just stuff going on that kind of interferes with progress on a project like this, at least for a guy like me. We ended up doing pretty well with BattleBots, but then back to the Fordge here. Still working on the interior stuff. The dash was, this wasn't an easy thing. So I kept working and trying to figure out how to get the steering column to fit and how to get the pedals in there. And then, the seats and the spacing between the seat and the dash wasn't easy. There's a few pictures of the steering column. There's the engine sitting on the floor with a new clutch. You can see there I didn't have a whole lot of space to give. I'm about 5'10", so to give you an idea, that was pretty tight, and I was okay with that at first, and then once I drove it once or twice, I realized, I better give myself a little bit more room than this. So I ended up over here Thanksgiving break pulling the dash completely back out just to give myself a little bit more room. There's this is FFA tractor day at school, just to kind of break things up here a little bit, things that are going on. We had a few students bring some things in. Just a neat day. All right, and then back to the Fordge. Cut some vinyl out at school for it, and just kind of working on trying to get the engine in and some of the accessory drives and get the fuel back to it. Lining up the transmission tunnel. Trying to get all that figured out and how to get a shifter in it. that was kind of a challenge too. And then to try to get the transfer case shifter to fit in and have it work with 4 low, 4 high, 2 high, neutral. It ended up like not even really close to where the Ford was. So there you can see the master cylinder going back in. Steering column. I had to lengthen the steering column to make it fit. The center console's going in. I had to bend the shifter a lot. The airbag sensor, that's sitting there in the middle. I ended up moving that. There's a picture of seats and center console and everything in. Wipers were 180 out for a little while. I had to fix that. And there's a whole lot of cab harness that I ended up modifying. There's the shifter. There it is up on the lift. That's the Zone 8-inch off-road lift kit. And that kind of segues us into the next part of this project, is making it big. There's Cole testing out the shifter, making sure all the gears work. He fits in the cab a lot better than me. And what's cool about it is everything seems to work. The fan, defroster, all the HVAC, except for air conditioning at this point. I don't have all the lines hooked up to the condenser, which we'll get into that because that's a whole other part of this project. There's Cole, 5 years old, standing next to the coil springs. So at some point, I hope that he would enjoy this project and get to drive it. That's kind of the goal at this stage. Like, just who knows? I mean, in 5 years, who knows where this truck will be? But at least we were all part of it at this point. There he is in my old sled pulling truck, and now there's the Cummins kind of mounted in, and that's the Fordge. And there's the beginning of the suspension lift. And there's a war wound from a wire wheel for me. So there's the transmission jack. I kind of lowered the rear axle down and started working on getting the lift kit put in. So the rear lift kit's put on there in that picture. So it's a 5-inch block in the back. Nothing like crazy high performance on this lift. I just kind of wanted to get the altitude that I needed. So there I am, kind of pulling things apart. Pulling the front axle out of the front. Just kind of starting new with the suspension system on it. Their factory control arms. That's a anti death wobble bar to tighten up. Third gens had issues with death wobble, with frame rails kind of flexing, so I decided to go ahead and put that on from step one. There you can kind of get an idea. Like, I had pretty much nothing on there to start with. Drop pitman arm. I cleaned the frame up. That's like a pre-clean. I'm going to go back through and make things perfect, but I pushed the axle outside, sandblasted as much as I could, just to try to get things clean, pre-cleaned for the the secondary, like, finish process. Bump stops. Coil buckets were in decent shape, so I just left them alone. That's a track bar drop bracket. Those are the control arm drop brackets didn't work out. I had to modify those, and they're completely, now that we speak, completely off of the truck. I eliminated them completely. But just for like trying to get the truck semi together, I put them on, extended them, and tried to, just get an idea of where things were going to be before I put the long arms on it. There you can see the front coil springs going in. There's a lot of height in an 8-inch lift coil spring, if you've ever put one in. Things pretty much got to be way up in the air and all the way on the ground axle-wise to get them in. There's some more pictures of the zone lift kit. There's a good picture of the truck on the left. Starting to take shape now. That's a picture of the exhaust. I ended up going with diesel duals. Something rare. You don't see a ton of diesel pickups running around with duals. Normally they're passenger side, single outlet exhaust. So I thought I'd try something a little different, at least different for me. And till the next time.